As the world celebrates the Day of the African Child, human rights activists and government agencies are being asked to work towards making life meaningful for migrant children who roam the corridors of Abidjan and Lagos. Head of Terre de Homes in Nigeria, Kweju Oshoba, made this appeal during a workshop organized for Nigerian journalists on how to deal with child-related issues. Kazim Olowe reports.
These are children. They are under 18. They deserve to be cared for, protected and shielded from any form of abuse or neglect. But unfortunately, many of them roam the streets in many West African countries and are made to work before they eat and suffer different forms of harassment, intimidation, discrimination and stigmatization. They are ready to talk, but nobody is willing to hear their stories. They shout and call for attention, but their voices seem not to be heard. They are African children in mobility, swinging like a pendulum without definite direction. Worried by the continuous increase in migrant children, child labor and child abuse along the corridor of Lagos and Abidjan, an international non-governmental organization, Terre de Homes, in conjunction with Child Protection Network and Pen Pushing Media, organized a training for journalists on how to report children in line with the theme of this year's Day of African Child, which says, "Leave no child behind for Africa's development."
We recognize the fact that children move, some on their own, some with their families, some are trafficked, but anyhow they move. The idea is to consider all forms of migration for these children in West Africa, along the coast of West Africa, and protect them. The partnership for us is to see that we have journalists who understand the plight of these children, who know the technicalities of reporting issues of my protection generally, and then migration specifically.
You go around the city, I see a lot of these children walking, and there's no one trying to push for their rights.
They say the agenda of the workshop, which focuses on child mobility, child protection, protective accomplishments of children, and the roles of journalists in the protection of migrant children, is for journalists to consider the importance and the need to protect the dignity and identity of children when reporting cases relating to them.
It has been observed that we do not give enough attention to reporting and how best to report child protection issues as journalists. Rather, we focus more on politics and other sectors, neglecting the importance of children who, if better treated and guided, are the future leaders to turn around not just the country but the world.
They appeal to journalists to always work on stories that will serve the interest of the child in order not to leave such behind, and in promoting the theme of the celebration, which says, "Leave no child behind for Africa's development," adding that majority of these children are vulnerable to abuse, exploitation, coercion, trafficking, violence, deprivation, segregation, and lack of access to basic education. Kazim Olowe, TVC News, Abeokuta, Ogun State.